You guys hear me? Check, 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 check. You guys can't hear me? Check. You can hear me. Yes, no, maybe
Yes,
so.
I can hear you.
Hello.
Cool.
What happened to my mic? Hello.
What's
Evening.
going on?
How are you?
I am busy as always.
All right. Give me the hosting rights, co-host. Maybe I would need some time during this. How are you, Yasmin?
I'm okay.
Better than last week?
Yeah. Got one more week of school.
You guys would have to restart after the Eid holidays, or no? That's
No,
it.
we finished right before Eid.
Mm.
That is the most. I don't know who came up with that policy, but you think anybody's going to do anything after the Eid holiday? And you were on some really good stuff. Most
Basically, they
schools,
have to complete those.
most schools finished last week.
Yes, some Arabic schools, yes. And now this week, most of the schools they are finishing.
Yeah,
I mean, maximum they would be finishing like today, tomorrow, something like that.
it's going to be
Thursdays.
really interesting as Ramadan gets deeper and deeper into the winter months. It's going to
Mhm.
be interesting how school is going to play out because I know for us, I mean, people checked out about February. Everybody was pretty much checked out. March, people were checked out, which really we had a just really unproductive semester. Uh, everybody
Yeah,
was just checked out.
whenever there's a Ramadan, it's like kind of a low energy in the whole learning atmosphere, at least, even offices. I
You know, I'm
remember,
talking about after the Ramadan because after Ramadan because for us, like once that Ramadan hit, it was just like I said, everyone had low energy.
all right, let's not waste the time because today we will have maybe longer discussions. Could be. I don't know, I presume. How are you, Khadija?
All right, pretty good. Pretty good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You would like
Had
to
a
go
busy day
first?
today. Doing a lot of running around today.
Oh, okay. How is the weather over there?
Rainy, a little bit on the
Rainy.
cool side. Yeah, about 60 degrees. Yeah, it's a rainy day.
Okay,
Yeah.
pleasant weather.
Rainy day,
We,
rainy
I think we had 42 today or 43, something like that.
temperature?
Yep,
Really?
Celsius,
Oh, Celsius, yeah. Oh, well.
which means around 108 or 10, something like that.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad I missed that part of being visiting over there is the weather, like the hot weather. I don't care if I never experienced that part. If I come back, I'm coming back like October, November, December.
You can make tea in the sun there. Just put the
I
water
bet.
outside.
I bet probably scrambled egg too.
Yep.
Uh, but it really isn't that bad because in Riyadh anyway, because there's no humidity. So I'd
Mm.
rather 110 here than 90 in New York.
Yeah, because it'd be sweltering. It'd be like
Yeah,
you be feeling like
yeah,
dirty with after you
yeah.
come from outside at home, you be feeling dirty. You be like, oh, I come in the house, be like, oh, I need a shower. Every time you come in, you say, oh, I
Yeah.
gotta get a
Yeah.
shower.
All Eastern
Smile.
provinces seem like that. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Who would like to go first?
With Mr. Sajid.
I don't know. I haven't sent him a message.
Well, Ray pretty much summed up the whole book in the chat the other day. I'm
Right?
like,
I'm
well,
like,
you know,
why we
transportation
reading
is
all
something.
these theses, all these thesis
Oh,
statements?
I
He
said,
he
gotta
he
say,
had
he
his
tore this book.
companion Chat
He tore
GPT
this
with
book
him.
up.
Yeah, he had his friend Chat GPT with him.
Well, it couldn't have been all Chat GPT. He had to put some kind of work in there
Of
too
course,
now.
yes.
No, well, hold
But
on
he
a
was
second.
encouraging.
That was actually my hand. ChatGPT did the summary of the characters, but everything
Yeah.
else was my hand.
Yeah,
I was
you could
talking
tell
to ChatGPT.
Chat GPT don't write that good now.
Oh no, yes it does.
It
Oh
does,
yes
it
it does.
does. It
Well, not the
does.
stuff I see, not the stuff I see on my phone, and I don't be doing nothing but typing text messages. I'm just saying.
But
You need to learn. These days, there are ads coming on YouTube that people would they would need to learn Chat GPT. Otherwise,
They just
they
might
will
as
be
well leave
called
me behind. Just leave me
soon. They will be
behind.
called illiterate because
That's all
thing that
right. They trying to fake us into thinking that we not smart. And you're like, no, you're not doing that. You're not doing that to me to turn my brain off.
yep. It's like
Just keep my
it's
eyes closed and just let it do all the thinking for me. It's
just
like,
think
no.
like if you are living with the people that do not know how to operate a cell phone, so you cannot even communicate with them.
well, remember the book.
Well,
Remember ChatGPT chose this book.
Yeah.
no, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, it did.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
I thought, yes, I thought you chose the
No,
book.
no, no.
Mm-mm,
We
Yeah.
no,
all did
I
the
I suggested for Chat GTP to pick us
yeah,
Oh,
one.
I didn't know that. Okay, my bad.
yeah, yeah. Because we
Hmm.
give the Chat GPT what books we have read, what we are, who we are, what we have read so far, and how like we are. So things, those kind of things. We gave it inputs, and it gave, okay, then we'll give you a challenge.
Hmm. Wow, okay. Interesting. I know one thing. I had to go get a new phone. You know they only give you a phone cord in your box now. You don't even get a charging block. You don't get a
Yeah, the Apple is
headphones.
like,
You don't
yeah,
get a
Apple is
screen
doing
protector.
kind of
Oh my,
business now.
Yeah,
oh,
I just bought my daughter S25 Plus.
that must be an
Yeah,
Uh
Android.
yeah, and it was nothing in the box but the phone and
But
a
the cord.
wire. That was it.
That's ridiculous.
That's
I couldn't
crazy.
even hardly sleep last night thinking about that. I just wanted to like,
That
I'd be
was
like this.
I paid 4,000 for that 4,500 for that phone. Almost 5,000 reals. And all it came with was the phone and a wire.
And you had to pay another, I spent another $160 when my daughter
they
got a couple of things buying the
they learned from
USB-C. I was like, how did I know it was a USB-C? Why did they switch it all of a sudden from B to C? Like, who does that?
yeah, nowadays they suit Type C kind of thing. That I mean,
Uh,
they
you gotta
learned
be
from
even buy a cord for your car, like everything I had to buy new. The car chart, like
yeah,
everything I had to buy new. I was like, this is ridiculous because my business phone was a 7 and it wouldn't take any more updates. I was holding on to my phone. I was like, I don't care. I'm not turning in my
I
iPhone
phone.
I
iPhone
held on
7.
to my 8 for as long as I could.
No, that's right. And I had an 11, so I turned one to a 16, and I took my daughter. She had a 14. I said, "Give me your 14 then." And she got her new phone. But dad,
yeah. I mean, like Apple started doing that those things that it would not before. I remember they would give you everything, especially Apple and others. They would give you everything, charger, pen, and like extra stuff.
the cord, you get the headphones,
Yeah,
everything.
you cover screen covers, stuff like that.
I remember
So
I when I first bought the first Samsung Fold. They gave me earbuds. They gave me so much stuff. It
You
was
left with a swag
amazing how much stuff
bag.
they gave me. They gave me
You
so
left.
much stuff. It was
That's when
amazing.
you used to go to this phone store, could get a new phone, like could get all of that stuff. Like nothing anymore. You don't get
yeah,
anything.
Apple
No
Apple they
specials.
Apple started doing this one lately. I mean, like couple of like not couple, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago now, that they
Hmm.
started selling everything separately. So they said this is where we make the money. And so the price of the product would be reduced like to the customer, and then they're putting on the shelf price. So they would make
And it's
money
the
on the other
same,
side.
and it's the same with the nail salon, the hair salon. It's like shampoo, everything is separate. Before you go to the beauty parlor, everything would be included with your hair. You get your hair washed or whatever. Now it's like you come in, they be like, your hair clean. It's like, wait a minute. So they went since pandemic. It's like you gotta come with your hair clean and pay the same amount of money or even more. It's like give me
Yeah,
something, like make something cheaper, like do something.
yeah, they try and make like, if they would give you the iPhone earbuds, probably it would be double, triple time expensive than the regular ones or something like that. Anything, yeah.
The
Anyway,
airport,
let's start with our
not too bad.
conversation. Yeah. Who would like to go first?
Hey auntie, I see auntie up there. Hey auntie.
Hello, hello, Dr.
Hey,
Mahasa.
Assalamualaikum. How's
Hey,
everyone?
Salam. Good, good.
I'll start and just say that I really appreciated how the two different branches of the family tree connected together at the end. I really, that was unexpected, and I really enjoyed
So they
reading
was
that
kind of like
connection at the end.
they were really related, right? They come from Big Mama or somebody.
No, they were totally different families, but how the two families intertwined at the end, I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
But they
they
were
were two
descendant of the
sisters.
half
They come from the
sisters,
two sisters
half
from the
sisters.
beginning.
Yeah, they come from somebody up top. They
Yeah.
come from somebody up top, right?
Yeah, no. So it was the
Afia,
two sisters. It was the two
Afia and Issy
sisters.
were the half sisters.
Yeah, yeah. It comes from the two sisters. One sister married the white guy, and the other sister was basically literally
Captive.
was
The
a
dungeon.
slave.
Yeah.
Got sold into slavery.
Yeah. She was the daughter of, I think, a strong big guy or big man, something like that.
Big man,
And then
somebody. I said Big
Yeah.
Mama. Big man.
Yeah.
I mean that was just that premise alone made the book very interesting. I mean, that's a very interesting premise. I never thought about it, how the two, how families were split up in that manner. Yeah, this was a really, man, this was a powerful book.
Make you
Powerful.
feel it.
I have a question though. At the end, the necklace, was that the same necklace?
Yes.
That's the same stone, right? From the beginning, right?
Yes,
Yes.
same one.
Yes.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I missed somebody. I gotta go back and do, because I knew something was wrong when I kept last week when I was listening. I kept going, something is wrong. I'm missing something. I missed is it Yah's mother Akua? It's one of the ones I missed, Akua. Whoever is in Yah's lineage, either his grandmother or mother. I missed their story, like how the house burned, how you got this figure. I missed that part. Like listening about it with the audio, I must have went into skipped a chapter or something.
I'll
Yeah,
try
because the
and
last
share
two
that
chapters
thing.
I read it on the laptop. I was like, I can't.
I'll try and share that one,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I shared the last one. I think I did that. Yep.
Yeah, I missed uh-oh.
Yeah, here.
So
I missed the Kua. I missed
You
the
see this
Kua.
one? Yeah.
Yeah. I missed Abina's daughter, Akua. That is son.
Yeah, Akua. The one who died in the last chapter, second last chapter. The old lady who actually gave
That set the house on fire. She the one that set the house on fire.
that was
no.
that was
No.
y'all. It was
That's
y'all's
the
mother.
Marcus's family.
No, Akua was the one that set the house on fire.
Yeah.
Akua, I gotta go back and revisit Akua.
That's y'all's mother. Whose mother is that?
Yeah, Yah's mother.
Yes.
Yeah. Yah's mother.
But why did she do that? Why did she set the house on fire? She didn't want them to get caught or something?
No, I think she just had a mental breakdown.
Yeah, mental illness.
Oh, that's why they say crazy old lady. You should say crazy old lady. Yeah. Yeah, it goes to show you that stuff been going
Okay.
on like all throughout
Oh,
history
okay,
and stuff.
Yasmin, you were saying something about,
That
like,
that
you
was
said
it.
that they met. Is it? Okay.
Yep.
All
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I'm gonna hold. I know we had a very intellectual discussion yesterday, but I've been thinking about it ever since I've been reading this book. I started reading the book, especially when I got to like chapter 5. For me, like I'm trying to juxtapose the hardships of other ethnic groups, and the only thing that I can come up with is this idea of sense of accountability and community, self accountability and and communal responsibility. And I think just looking at other ethnic groups, I think that has been our biggest challenge, or not our, because everybody's not here, not African American, but our, at the African American, or I like to say so-called Black. And the reason why, to answer your question, Mr. Hassan, the reason why I say so-called Black and I say that Black and white are political terms
Hmm?
is it's hard to explain. You got to know history, but the idea of Black and white is actually a relatively new concept. Um, Nobody was really using the term Black and white until the end of the 19th century. And even in the 19th century, I listen. I'm not that old, but I'm old enough where I remember in elementary school, it wasn't black on my sheet; it was Negro. Anybody when they had you select your ethnic group, it said
That's right.
Negro instead of black.
Yeah, mine
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this idea of black and white is actually a new concept. It's a really a 20th century concept.
Yeah.
And it's a political
And
concept because,
just
like, for instance, I'll give you a great example. um, Middle Easterners in America are considered white. Now how's that, right? Because politically what happens is most Middle Easterners politically align themselves with whiteness. This was the problem with the Native Americans. They didn't want to, because they had all those raids. You go back to the American Revolution. They conducted all these raids, and they separated themselves from whiteness. This is why the concept of blue blood, right? This is why, and they had to suffer politically, and they suffer today. This is why they were exterminated. Andrew Jackson, the Trail of Tears, if you know that history, exterminated the natives because the natives didn't want to play ball, right? They didn't want to align with, they didn't want that political alignment, right? Um, so they went through it. They exterminated the natives. To this day, Native Americans are what, less than 1% of the population in America.
yeah, less
um,
than 1%.
so this idea of black and white are political terms. I would even um, i would even submit that many Africans who come to America, like Kenyans, Nigerians, Ethiopians, they don't, politically they're not black. And they will tell you in a heartbeat that politically they're not black. Now, they can't mark, a lot of them mark other. uh, they can't mark white, obviously, um, but a lot of them mark other. And then if you look at some of the categories now, it will say, not African American or not Black American. Like, so these are political designations,
But but
right? And this is one of the reasons why Nigerians, Ghana, Ethiopians, they do extremely well in America, extremely well, right? Because of this political alignment. And I'm not saying they're aligning with white folks, but it's another political designation where they don't line with black folks, right? So
According,
so they don't put themselves under that black category because it's not about skin color. It's really a political. Now the problem is, as African Americans or Black Americans, so-called Black Americans, we automatically get dumped into this political designation of black, right? We have been told you're black, and we think we're black because of our skin color. And this is why most black people are Democrats. This is why before LBJ and the whole deal, most blacks were Republicans. You know, most blacks before 1960s, before the Civil Rights Movement, or after the Civil Rights Movement, blacks went to the Democratic Party.
All right.
But there was a time where blacks were Republicans. And Martin Luther King was a Republican. Why? Because it was the Republican Party that freed the slaves. It was the Republican Party that fought for segregation. Your Democrats were, your George
Against
Wallace's,
it, 100% against it. Yeah.
George Wallace's. They were the racists. You know, George Wallace was Georgia, or was it
George Wallace. Yep. Yep.
Arkansas or Georgia?
No, he was in
I
Georgia.
forgot, but all those guys were Democrats.
George Wallace.
Now we know
yeah,
that
but
there was a slight political shift after LBJ's Great Society, where Republicans went away from championing the cause of human rights and started being more capitalist and globalist. And then Democrats kind of slid into this kind of champion human rights causes because of LBJ.
yeah,
But remember, LBJ was a racist, a
yeah,
straight up racist.
Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yo,
Then
he was a
he
straight up
was
racist.
basically he was straight away
He
trying to marginalize the African Americans that into the
so this is, but we have brought into his Great Society plan, which you got to understand. If it wasn't for LBJ, LBJ was able to talk to the other Democratic racists and say, "Hey, look, we got to come up with a new political strategy." Because prior to the Great Society plan, black folks in America are actually doing quite well,
Yep.
very well. So I'll give you a great example: Frederick Douglass High School in Baltimore, Maryland. Right? If you wanted to be anybody and you were in the South, right? Not in the North, but if you were in the South, and Baltimore is the South, even though we want to act like we're from the North, no, we're Southerners, all right? Washington, Southerners. If you were from the South, if you were from North Kakalaki, South Kakalaki, Louisiana, and you wanted to go to law school, or you wanted to go to college, or you wanted to be a dentist, or you wanted to be something, your parents tried to get you into two schools in America if you were from the South. It was Dunbar in Washington, D.C., and it was Frederick Douglass High School in Baltimore, Maryland. If you were going to be something in life, these were the prep schools, the black prep schools, and then you would go to Howard. Howard being the black Harvard, right? You would try to get into Howard or Morehouse or one of these prestigious black schools, right? Or Tuskegee, right? Now, and this is again prior to LBJ's Great Society. Now, Frederick Douglass High School has been deemed one of the worst high schools in America. It was so bad that what's the guy's Microsoft guy? Bill Gates committed to giving Frederick Douglass $1 million a year for the next 50 years or something like this. Something crazy. I mean, if you look at all the social ills in that zip code, and I know a lot about Frederick Douglass High School because that's the first place I taught as a teacher, as a ninth grade teacher, was Frederick Douglass High School. And I mean, you talk about every social ill is in that school. You name it, it's there. The only problem that school did not have was a crime problem. And the reason why we didn't have crime when I was there was because the kids who wanted to go to school was trying to go to school to escape crime. That was the school was their refuge. So there was no fights there when I was there. It was actually pretty peaceful. But the kids had so many issues, and they used to schoolhouse uh, to
Ray, you are
that
cutting off.
the
You are
Douglas is in.
chopping.
Yeah, it's just riddled with social ills. In fact, the TV show The Wire, if you guys remember the TV show The Wire, that school that they were in, that was Douglas High School. In fact, my first principal, my first boss, uh, um, Miss Davis, Miss Rose Davis, she actually was in a couple episodes of The Wire. My point that I'm trying to illustrate is that we Douglas went from being a black prep school that if you were in the South, you try to get your kid to that school, to now being one of the most down, again, one of the worst high schools, um, definitely on the East Coast and probably in America. Why is that? And I'll give you another kind of
Because of the
anecdote.
CIA. I'm blaming the CIA for everything today.
So, because I will give you another anecdote and then I'll be quiet. When I first started teaching at Douglas, they assigned new teachers mentors. So my mentor was Dr. Snodley. Dr. Snodley was an older white guy who was the principal he retired as a principal in Baltimore County schools. Um, and he was actually a very good mentor. And one of the things he told me when I asked him about what happened, like what happened? You were a principal when all this stuff went down. What happened? He said, Ray, um, imagine, he said he was a principal of a white school doing segregation. He said it was pretty weird because typically they would have black principals, but he was a principal of a black school and doing segregation. And he said during that time, parents would be on his butt. We want the best schools. I mean, the best books. We want the best anything the white folk got. We want, and you better make sure you get it. We get it. Whatever the school district doesn't give you, the school board doesn't give you, you contact us. We'll get it. He said that the pastors of the churches would be on them, mamas and daddies, the dentists, the black the black police officer. Everybody would be on him to say anything you need, you ask us. If you need us to go down to City Hall and protest, whatever you need, you better make sure our kids get it. Right? He said, Ray, the day integration came, that he said it was almost like the day integration was law of the land. No more words from the black community. No more. They stopped. It's like it's like somebody snapped their fingers and it all disappeared. And I and for me, I take those conversations and all that I know about the condition of black folk in America today versus our condition prior to the Great Society, which we were in a great position prior to the Great Society. And the only thing I can come up with, and I'm not saying that the CIA horrible, nasty organization. Unfortunately, it's a necessary evil for American national security, but it's just a horrible organization. They treat their own people nasty. Have you ever talked to ex-CIA or heard podcasts from ex-CIA agents? I mean, they get treated horribly, especially if they go against the grain. They get treated like trash. It's a nasty organization, and I'm pretty sure that the CIA are responsible for a lot of the drugs that are in the black community. I'm
And
pretty
not
sure.
even
So, um, but the CIA is not responsible for why black parents and black pastors stop
Coming to PTA
requesting.
meetings and all of that kind of stuff. Can't get them
Requesting
to
that
do
Dr.
nothing.
Snodley, exactly. They're not responsible for that.
Don't even
And
come to
that's
parent-teacher meetings, all of that stuff. They don't even come. Yeah.
so for me, and I told you
I was
I'll wrap this
PTA
up,
vice president.
but for me, that's prevents the splitting that we never got we never got reconnected. We really never got reconnected.
They broken. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's problematic. And I'll be quiet now.
And it's problematic. It's problematic because I think that it's we always in opposition. Like the opposition always just don't want nobody else to have something. They want it. It's just they just so greedy. They want it all to themselves. Unfortunately, because through these generations, I see what you're saying now, y'all, about the family tree. When I saw that plus in the middle between Kobe and Big Man, I thought that came from MAAME. Who was that up there? Mamie up top. I thought that was
Yeah,
coming from them or something. But I see now it's two separate
yeah, but they were
lineages.
half sisters.
They would still have
Uh,
sisters, yeah, because one lived in the castle and one didn't, right? One
I'm
was a prisoner and one wasn't. No, one was
yeah,
enslaved and one wasn't, I should say.
yes, and I don't recall that how they are basically. You remember Afia was m- from the lady who was like kind of like fire girl or something like that that ran away.
I think so.
Afia's mother, the actual mother, not that
Think so.
Baba or something, because she was not her real mother. So that mother,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I might have to go back and redo that one too
I think
because
I think
the,
what is there is that she had another from another husband. She had AC from the big man, ECSRE, something like that. So this is how they are related as like half sisters. They had common mother, Afia. Her father was that guy, Kobe Archer, that old man. If you remember the first chapter, they said,
yeah, that
"Yeah,
old
go
man.
ahead,
Oh.
Khadija."
No, I just thought that, a lot of the situations that they had to navigate back then, the issues that they had, just not having enough, barely getting by, feeling like they walk in the streets afraid and like all of that kind of stuff. It's pretty much the same thing that's going on today. It just really is sad situation. I guess it would be
Mhm.
it's really easy in theory to solve the world's
I
problems.
was going to ask Ray, I mean, in a short way, that like, don't you see that the what you mentioned earlier on, like when I asked you, as you said that the or the, I mean, like the black and white is a political divide nowadays, and this came from the origin of this one step back is like before they were not competing with them because they were not even equal in terms of their voting rights. And just only before that, they were called as, like, as you said, Negro, or so even before that one, that was also a part of the evolution. And before that, they were called as slaves or freemen. So even,
Again, you got to remember, I get what you're saying, but you got to remember these are political terms because you had some black people who were
were,
never slaves, never
yes,
slaves,
very
never
few.
slaves, and they were you know
They were basically the slave traders, basically. They were the
well,
slave
no, I mean
traders.
some. No, they were some of them weren't slave traders. You got to remember there was a ship of rich Africans who landed in Charleston, South Carolina. I think in the early 1620s, if memory serves me correct. You
Yes.
know, they were rich. They were industrialists. Listen, we gotta when you talk about slavery, you can't talk about slavery in a vacuum if you want to truly understand it. And I think been a big problem with how we learned about slavery. When I learned about slavery, right, I learned in the in elementary school all the way up to college. I learned that American slavery was the harshest slavery. These are the things I was told, and that these things, and that there was no form of slave. But the reality is that's
Yeah, it's
simply not
different.
true. It's
No,
just
it's
simply
not
not
true.
true. Not saying it wasn't harsh, but to say it was the harshest in human history or
Mm.
ever,
I understand. I
it would
For
have
a
understand
been
long
that
not
point.
true.
period
But
of
you got
Yeah,
time,
that
for a
I
long
understand.
period of
but
time.
I
but you
understand
got to
that, but I
also
couldn't
hold on.
understand.
Let me finish
Austin.
my thought to answer your
Mm.
question. So when you say they didn't have rights, or they didn't, there were some black people who had all the rights in the world because they had money,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
You had Prince Hall. Let's talk about Prince Hall.
I remember
You know
Prince Hall.
about
We used
Prince
to have a
Hall?
lot of parties at the Prince Hall over there.
Right? Prince Hall was the
Bring them
only
boys out.
the Europeans, the British Masons did not recognize white Masons. The only Mason temple that they recognized officially was Prince Hall's temple,
Sure.
right?
Mm.
Yeah.
So you have black wealth. You got to remember, who's the first person to so-called die for American independence? Anybody know?
Oh, Crispus,
Crispus Attucks, right? Who
Crispus
was Crispus
Attucks.
Attucks? Crispus Attucks was a native black, right? He was half native, and he was black, and he was a rebel rouser. He was out there. He was a not loyalist, but he was out there shouting at the British soldiers, and they shot him. Him and some white folk. Him and some white folks, right? And this is in the 1770s, right? So the black voice in American history was not all we were slaves.
Actually,
It
they
wasn't
said before
all antebellum
Reconstruction.
slavery. You had black slave owners, right? You have not slave traders, you had black slave owners in America. Now, I would note that many of those black slave owners, what they did was free slaves. Um, but you had some traditional black slave owners, right? And
It's
so,
permissible when it's very permissible in the Quran. It's very permissible that you can have a slave and impregnate it and not marry it. So it's there.
well, you just got to remember too, slavery was a device. It was a financial
Means, yeah.
device
It was a
at
means,
that
yeah.
time. So when
Yeah.
we look at it with our 21st century eye, right? We look at it just like we do with everything, right? Let's listen.
Cruelty was really the commodity.
80 years ago, it was nothing for a 30-year-old man to marry a 15-year-old girl. That was nothing, right? But we look at it with our modern eye and we go, that's creepy, right? When for thousands of years, that was the norm for an old man to marry a girl at 14, right? Or 30 or 40-year-old man. Why?
And
Because he had money.
and even before that, we still deal with that inside of Islam when we talk about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam marrying Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her. We talk about that a lot. Like, that's always a thing. Like Islamically, a lot of women rather not discuss because we don't want nobody to say, because it has been said before. You've heard people say, "Oh, well, Muhammad was a child molester," or, like you hear stuff like
Well, I
that
mean,
along the way.
and again, that's people looking
So
at things with their modern eye, right?
yes, yes. So it wasn't acceptable
Everyone was,
practice.
it
Yeah,
was a normal practice, not just
yeah.
for Islam, for
Be fruitful,
Christianity.
have some children. More children you
Right,
have, the better farmer you have, the better
right.
people
And
you
you
have to
gotta,
take care of the home.
and you also
So,
got to remember life expectancy, right? People didn't live as long
Yeah.
as we live today. There's a lot
Yeah.
of different variables and attributes. But the point that I'm trying to make is that when we talk about, because I guess I'm looking at, and I apologize, but I'm looking at this book from a wide
you
perspective.
need to write a book on this book.
And maybe I might. I mean, because I'm looking at this from a wide perspective, because I want to know, why in 2025 we're having conversations like black fatigue? Why is that a thing in 2025?
Like, why is this even a thing in 2025, right? How did we get here? Why are we so splintered? How do we go from the 70s, I'm black and I'm proud?
That's when they changed it on paper after we got through singing I'm black and I'm proud. They were like, now you're not gonna be African American no more, you're gonna be black.
Right. So that's from the perspective I'm looking at it. But I want to throw caution to the wind that the black experience in America, there were black people who came to this country for the same reasons why other people, so quote unquote whites, and let's not use the term black and white, Caucasians, because you got to remember, before the black slaves, who was the slave? Who were the slaves here? They tried to enslave the natives. They tried to enslave the natives. The natives were either warring or too weak. Then they brought in the indentures of the whites because they were used to the indenture. You got to remember, Slavs, the Slavic people were,
and they got tricked into a lot of
that was a kind of a popular.
They didn't know they was actually coming to be indentured slaves but they knew they was coming for something, a new opportunity.
No, they knew that basically when they in order to get on that boat, and if you didn't have the money, okay, real quick, 30 seconds.
Trump and them $1 million passport tickets. If you got $1 million, you can get your citizenship to the
and
US.
That's what most countries do, and it's always been the case, right? And that was the case of the founding of America. So basically, I ask you, who came to America? If you want to understand slavery, let me ask you this question, and anybody can answer. The good doc, who came to America? Can you answer that? What Europeans came to America?
Of course, she could answer that question.
And it's open to anyone. What Europeans came to America?
Let's listen to
the Vikings.
Dr. Mahasan. No. Let's listen to Dr. Mahasan first. She didn't speak at all.
But I'm doing a question out so we can
the non-blue bloods. The non-blue bloods who were.
Auntie might have fell asleep.
Oh, she's talking without her mic.
Oh yeah, is your thing on?
Her mic is muted, but she sent a message a while ago.
All right, so to answer the question, my own question, it was the second.
But it was the blue. The second children of the people. That
right, it was
the
second son.
The second
sons came to America. This is a very important point.
Yeah, because all the wealth will go to the first one.
Let me explain, Mr. Hassan. Let me explain, Mr. Hassan. Let me explain it to you. Because okay, so basically, when the word came out that this was New World, right? This was called the New World, right? The second sons, meaning the first son of the wealthy, if you were in the UK, if you were in Britain, England, and you were a first son, you didn't want to come to the New World. You can care less about the New World. You were waiting for what? You were waiting for dad to die because you got all the inheritance. Because you got all the inheritance. Because you got to remember, to get on a boat back in the 17th century, that was likely death, even if you had money. That was a treacherous ride. It wasn't the Titanic. Well, I can't say the Titanic. It wasn't the cruise ship. It wasn't a cruise ship. That was a hard journey for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So
90%
the first sons did not want to get on that boat. They're like, no, I'll stay here in England or wherever they were in Europe, and I'll wait for dad to die.
The first sons, okay.
It was the second and third sons, because the second and third sons, they took the risk to come to America to do what? To build a life for themselves, to build a legacy for themselves, because they didn't want to be under their big brother's hand, right? So
also they were not entitled to inherit titles in England back then. Right?
They were exactly.
It was only the first son. Sorry, I was
exactly.
off. I didn't realize that my microphone was off. Okay.
Exactly. So when we talk about the founding,
can you ask the question again so I know where we are?
No, the question I basically just answered. the question
Okay.
of who came to America, because it actually it tells the story of slavery if you talk about
Yeah.
who came to America, right? So you're talking about people who wanted to prove something, right?
Okay.
Right.
They wanted to have their own legacy. All right. Now, these are also very smart people, right?
Yeah.
Extremely smart. They're trained in the classics, because you got to remember at this time they're in the Renaissance, right? Victorian period, highly into the Renaissance, the universal man, right? So these are people who were educated. We know this. The founding fathers, so the so-called founding fathers, they weren't just politicians, they weren't just lawyers, they were farmers, they were engineers, they were all types of things, right? And one of the things they understood was if they were going to build this nation, they needed labor. And anybody who took any economics class knows one thing: your most controllable expense is what? Payroll. That's the most controllable expense. If Microsoft is having a bad quarter, what is the first thing Microsoft does?
Yeah, shut
Lay
off
people
its
off.
employees.
They lay
Raise the
people off.
prices.
Right. No, well, no, the first thing they do is lay people off. Well, we got to lay 5,000 people off, because at the end of the day, your most controllable expense is payroll, right? So slavery was a good option, all right, for a new country trying to, for these second and third and fourth sons trying to build a legacy. All right.
They still mistreated the people now. You did all of that. You did all
Absolutely,
of that just to get
absolutely,
back to what?
Okay, let's go
absolutely,
back. Let's give Dr.
absolutely.
Mahasan some time and talk about the book. Yes, Dr. Mahasan.
To talk about the second sons.
No,
Well,
no.
I think I came in, I think because my mic was off, so I never heard anything on both
Oh,
sides. And then when I opened it up, then I heard you guys talking about second sons. So I don't know what happened to my microphone, but I'm assuming
okay.
that Dr. Ray kind of explained who the
Yeah,
second sons were,
yeah.
because I came in at the end, right? So I mean, sort of like
So let's talk about the book. So what's your opinion about the book? What intrigued you? What's something there
um
for you?
well, I'll just go by the last three chapters. I mean, Sunny is, we all know a Sunny, right? Um, we either have a Sunny in our family, or we know someone who has a Sunny, and it is a story that we have, come to hear so often in the Black experience or the African American experience. And so reading and listening to Sunny's story is like reading someone's story today, right? I think that Dr. Ray asked the question, why are we still experiencing those same issues? So when we come to why are we still experiencing those same issues, could it be, and I'm posing a question, could it be perhaps that the idea of those who were enslaved and brought over, as a commodity, that the idea of them not being that in perpetuity is a problem for those who were able to buy and sell as they wished. And so there has always been something thrown into the African American communities. And I think I heard Ray say something about who might be responsible for the drugs in the Black community. Well, we know that it's not us as a whole. We know that Black Americans are not growing or exporting these drugs. We know this. However, that doesn't excuse us, right? It doesn't excuse us today. But I know that, and I believe that I think that we had this conversation during the week is, are we still affected by, you know, um, by being enslaved, by our ancestors being enslaved? And that's not to say that all of us had ancestors who were enslaved in this room. It's possible that maybe they were not. However, we are definitely still affected by it. And what is it that is causing us not to be able to move like other communities? And I know Khadija would say, maybe she will say the FBI, CIA, the government. and of course there's some truth to it. We know that, right? But where are the excuses? Why are we still having so many Sunnies today? Like, why? And I don't know if anybody can answer that question, but if you can, I
Yeah,
definitely
so
like to hear it.
my response is one thing. And this is where I was trying to get to. I was going around the barn, but let me go directly through the door. Currency. I was trying to talk about the second sons. At the end of the day, we have become second sons. That's the point I'm trying to make. Black folk and all folk have become second sons. It's a rat race. All right. It's a rat race for everybody. And it's always been a rat race for everyone in the United States because you come to this country. And so, and the problem is my good friend Shamanga, he always says that people are bewitched by currency. And he's absolutely right. In the Black community, we are bewitched by currency. And
The OJ said it, for the love of money. They nailed it. The law talk about it
for the
too.
love of money.
Yes,
Right.
it's
And so I
sickening,
think
yeah.
that is where we are today. Right.
Mm.
It doesn't explain things that happened during slavery. It doesn't explain things that happened during Jim Crow. Right. Because I think we were connected. We did have a sense of purpose. We did have a sense of community then. But in 2023, and this is why I told the story of Dr. Snodley and integration. The moment I blame personally, all this is on the Great Society. It was ingenious. LBJ's plan was ingenious because basically it allowed us to take our eye. You remember that show, Eye on the Prize? You used to watch that in school. Your eye on the prize, right? It allowed the Great Society plan allowed us to take our eye off the prize, right? And the prize now is, what do we want to do? We want to flex on each other. When I say we, I'm not talking about the people in this room, but as a group, we enjoy flexing on each other. Louis Vuitton, the latest Mercedes Benz, this and that and that and the third.
I think flexing is
do
okay. Flexing is okay, long as you within your means. Flexing is fine. Ain't nothing like, look at my new kicks today.
No, flexing is not fine when your people are in trouble. You're not going to see Indians flex on one another. They don't do that. We're the only group in this world that flex on one another.
Excuse
Now,
me?
rich
Indians?
white
Yes,
rich
they do.
white people.
Hold on a
Indians
second.
flex.
No.
You ain't never seen them at a henna party. You ain't never seen them women at a henna party all dressed up.
Listen to me. When you're rich, hold on a second. When you're rich, that's a different category. Yes, rich white people flex on one another.
No.
All right. But when you're poor, right? And I'm not talking a thousandaire. If you're a thousandaire, you're poor. All right. When you're poor, other groups don't flex on each other. Other poor groups don't flex on each other like that. Black people are the only poor group. Blacks are the only poor group of people.
Even for the
Blacks are the
clothing, the
only poor
ladies, and
people
all
that
that
flex
kind
one
of thing
another.
they did. Yeah, even
So
for the smaller thing, not for the bigger things, and not for the Rolls Royces and all that, but for the smaller things and the kind of clothes. Yasmin would have to say something. Yes.
I just don't agree with that statement because even poor white people flex on each other.
no, they don't. I've never, unless they, and I hate to say this term, unless they're wiggers, okay? I know I've been around a lot of poor.
We can just agree to disagree. Thank you.
I've been around a lot of poor white folk, right? I've been around a lot of poor white folk who will,
flex on each other with a six-pack.
they will give, if they came into some money, a little money, they'll make sure everybody in their neighborhood is good. This is
I will too.
I look at the story of Canton. I look at the story of Canton. I look at the story of Canton in Baltimore, Maryland. Canton was a longshore neighborhood, poor whites of Baltimore. Okay. We used to, when I was a kid, we used to go down in Canton and Fells Point, and still, Fells Point was mentioned in the book, by the way, and still the white boys' bikes. Why would we steal the white boys' bikes? Because the white boys used to leave their bikes on the steps. because they didn't have to worry about other white people stealing their bikes. So our ignorant criminal butts used to go down, cross Orleans Street, and take their bikes on a Saturday morning and ride them back on the other side of Orleans Street.
Only because you didn't have a bike, not because you was a thief.
No, not because I had a bike. Mama, no, it's because we thought it was funny to do that. We didn't need bikes. We had our own bikes. I had brand new bikes.
My mother, so y'all was doing it like a prank.
We were doing it because we were doing it because we were just being goofy. Right? It was the same reason. Hold on a second. It was the same reason why we used to throw snowballs at cars. We were just being goofy, dumb kids, right? But the point that I'm trying to make is that those houses back then, when I used to take the bikes from white guys, right? They were cheap houses, 2 floors, maybe 2 bedrooms, very small houses, right? You could buy those houses when I was a kid for $10,000, $15,000.
They're $500,000 now, so let's go on.
They're more than $500,000 houses. But here's the reason why. Just follow me for a second. Here's the reason why they're $500,000 houses. Because the houses in my neighborhood were actually bigger than their houses. And they'd have depreciated in value now. Why? The difference is when those longshoremen came home, they invested in their kids. They didn't go out there and buy Cadillacs. They didn't go out there and buy fancy clothes. They invested in their children. They sent their children to college. Their children then did the same. They invested in their children. Went back, didn't run from the neighborhood. Went back and invested in those houses. Put a 3rd floor. Put additional bedrooms in those houses. Became city councilmen, became members and pillars of the community. Now that community is a sought-after community that everybody wants to live in. It's Canton.
And the federal government want to talk over, and the mayor of Baltimore not having it. I like him.
But hold on a second. But what did we do on the other side of Orleans Street, on the black side, right? What did we do? People like me, I blame myself too. The first thing is got the hell out of the neighborhood. Where do we want to go? Oh, we want to go and live in PG County. We want to go live in Montgomery County, right? We wanted to go live in Bel Air with the white folk. And we divested our money from the neighborhood. Now those big houses that we were living in, they have no value because now they all tore up because there's nobody did any maintenance on them. Because when Granddaddy died, that was it. Granddaddy was the person who was maintaining the house. When he died, nobody maintained the house. The smart kids moved out of the neighborhood. The kids who weren't smart went to jail. Can't get a job, can't maintain a house. The house is now foreclosed on. That's the difference. The difference is currency. The difference is we don't take our currency and invest it. Because we're too busy buying the Cadillacs. We're too busy buying the fur coats. We're too busy buying the new tennis shoes. White folks just don't do that. Unless they have money. They just don't do that. When they don't have money, they don't do that. And I've seen it. All right. I've absolutely seen it. And and that's the reason why we're in the condition we're in. Because at the end of the day, this is a capitalistic society. America is a capitalistic society. It's not a Christian society. It's no any other thing but money society. And it's how you spend the money is going to make you black or white. Because I have black friends in PG County who live in Whitmore. Whitmore is the richest black neighborhood in America, right? And although they have to mark black on a job application, right? They think politically white. And this is the issue because it's all about how you spend your money.
No more than the rest of them do. Anyway, no more than the rest of them do.
It's a major difference of how we spend money. It's a major difference. This is why in our neighborhoods we don't have banks.
But you sure it is, right? But you just said you did the same thing. So, but I understand.
I did it. I absolutely. I actually because I can do it now because those neighborhoods now crackhead neighborhoods. I'm not gonna put my children in a crackhead neighborhood.
No, but I
Right?
understand the
But
thing, rinse and repeat, it happens. The same thing happens in different pockets all across the world. The same thing, but it's usually, you know, it is the capitalism, and it is rooted in evilness too. A lot of it too. Some of it is just
so
pure
we have
evilness.
to
Because you can have a lot of money
we
and without being cruel and dropping bombs on
we have to
people.
explain why a poor Nigerian or a poor Ethiopian comes to America, and then 5 years later, 10 years later, he's running businesses. He can send his family members from Nigeria, from Ethiopia, from wherever in Africa, and thrive. We have to account for that. He's blacker than us. He's blue black, right? How
Yeah,
does
well, that's
he has
true.
an accent? He has an accent. She has an accent.
Right.
They don't sound like us.
Go ahead,
How are
Auntie.
they able
Sometimes
to come? How are they
sometimes
able to come from a village? Because these guys are not rich. How are
they
they
might,
able to
how you know
come?
they all, you just said everybody that come don't be poor, so they could, some of them could come and
No,
already have a little
no,
something.
no.
Go ahead, Auntie.
Most of the Africans who come, some come as rich, but I'm talking about the ones who come and set up shop in black neighborhoods, which is another point. Same thing that Asians do. Your
The only place
Koreans,
they could
your
get along.
Chinese,
It's
your
the only place they
Vietnamese,
could get
your
along. It
Cambodians.
doesn't.
Everybody, this answers the good doctor's question. If you want to get rich, you set up shop in a black neighborhood, right? The
Yeah.
Koreans in our neighborhood.
If you want to get rich, get in touch with Trump. Go ahead, Auntie.
It's not getting such a trust. If you want to get rich and you're poor, you set up shop in a black neighborhood.
That's the only place. In some cases, they give you a loan to even build your stuff. So that's the same with houses and everything.
No, that's not the case, because a black neighborhood is the only neighborhood that's going to let somebody else that doesn't look like
It's the
them
only places
set up
if you
shop.
talk to them too. A lot of them.
let's
Set up
let's
shop in their
listen to
neighborhoods.
let's listen to
So
Dr.
this is
Mars, and she has raised her hand.
this is the problem when we have these conversations. It's hard to take that. It's hard to swallow that pill that we're the reason for our own demise. We should not be letting Cambodians,
it would be so cool for
Vietnamese.
somebody to say, well, we just gonna leave y'all over here and leave y'all alone. Y'all just do your thing. Let us just do our thing. They don't. So it's not all on us. It's the systems that keep tearing it down.
But what is the system? Tell me the system that keeps tearing us down.
Let Auntie go. Auntie, go
White
ahead,
people
Auntie.
burning down Black Wall Street.
All kind of stuff. Yes, come on, Rosewood. Come on,
that was
Ray.
60 years ago.
There's so many things you don't even know about.
That was 60 years ago. That was 60
my
years
mama
ago.
that she had an apartment thinking she had a co-op and she was paying into the apartment and gonna own it, and then she find out what apartment. Them ain't the right books. You got forged documents. These are real books. It's a lot of stuff.
The reality is everybody gets kicked in the face. What black people are, the Black Wall Street was the only thing. It wasn't the only thing that got burned down.
All our own
everybody got kicked in the face. The Irish got kicked in the face. The Chinese got kicked in the face. Italians got kicked in the face. Italians were hated. Irish people were hated.
It's all right.
They were
can check the white.
despised.
They all right now. They can check the white
They
box
were
now.
spat
They all
on.
right now.
They were spat on. Right? The Chinese were hated.
They can
So
check the
the
white
issue
box
at the end of the day, I can see if Irish people, Chinese people were in the same condition that we were in today, if everybody was in that same condition, then we could say it's the white man, it's the system. But you have people who were just as screwed up, kicked in the face. Look at white Appalachian today. This is a great example.
Now we going over.
Go to Appalachia. Go to
Appalachia now.
Go to
opening up
Appalachia.
too many subjects now.
But go to Appalachia. No, it's not open up a subject. It's pointing. Appalachia is a great example of what I'm saying. Of white people. These are white people now. These are not black people who are downtrodden, who are just hopeless.
And somebody
and
like
white
J.D.
Appalachia.
Vance and Peter Thiel and them came in and told them they had jobs and built all this stuff, then kicked them out and brought in the Mexicans, and they mad at the people too. They mad at everybody too. So just
I'm talking about Appalachia.
but they still
I'm talking about Appalachia. I'm talking
Appalachians
about
still have
Appalachia.
feelings and emotions and know when they don't like to be treated wrong. It's
Appalachia,
just to keep them
Appalachia
wrong.
suffers from high rates of suicide. They suffer for high. I mean,
Black lung
it's
death because they had them coals
uh,
in them mines
so
down there.
the reality is
Still have.
during when West Virginia is separated from Virginia, they no longer became politically white. Is the point I'm making when we talk about white and black, and they've suffered from that. The term redneck comes from the coal mining wars of West Virginia. So the moment that the West Virginians, hold on a second, the moment that the West Virginians said, we don't agree with slavery, and they separated from Virginia, they have been paying for it ever since. They have been paying for it ever since. You go to white Appalachia, you'll cry. You would cry. These people are suffering to this day.
I've been
Right?
there, right?
So
Come on, let's switch subject. I mean, let Auntie talk so we can get off this thing. I got an appointment in the field that although it's for my nails, I still got I still got an appointment for my nails. And we gotta pick a new book. Who got a new book? Go ahead, Auntie. Could Auntie go, Dr. Oscar?
I'm just going to say just 3 or 4 quick points. Number one, and I'm talking about in my own opinion based on what I understand. Other communities, non-Black American communities, so I'm being specific, are not concerned about becoming a part of the culture. So when we talk about continental Africans, Nigerians, Ghanaians, Gambians, they come for a reason, right? And they keep their eye on the prize. And that prize is we didn't come to make friends. We didn't come to assimilate. We came to make a better life. And so opportunities that they strive for is constantly put in front of them. And the parents are constantly reminding them why they're there, why they came, why they left their country. But they are still Nigerians. They are still Ghanaians. They are still West Africans or, East Africans or whatever. That's number one. Asians, whatever. Why is everyone in our community? Because like Ray said, we have to agree. We are the only community that says, hey, it's okay. Come on. We welcome everybody with a smile, no matter how many times our communities get stabbed in the back. And I don't know why as a community we haven't learned to just sometimes be a little selfish. Is it because we don't own our communities? If I don't own my house in that community and I am renting, then how much control do I really have? How much political power do I really have? Number 3, we can discuss anybody else's burden as much as we like. And of course, as I said, when we're talking, if we want to compare them, is one worse than the other? I guess it depends on who you're talking to. However, we cannot deny that Black chattel slavery, American chattel slavery, continues. Its remnants are still existent today. Name it anything you want, in this 21st century, but it still exists today. We, as Black people in America, are still not looked at as equal. We're not, but we want to be. And we want to cry, please accept us, as opposed to building another Black Wall Street and saying, okay, you don't want us to be a part of the greater society? Okay, we'll build our own. We'll have our own, but we are busy trying to be a part of this larger community that does not want us. But we can't get that through our heads. We still have this idea that since America, and we know, was built primarily on the back of Black slaves, enslaved people who most of us these are our ancestors. We believe, however we want to believe, but we believe that we are owed something. And because we continue to ask for something that we'll probably never get, we cannot see the forest for the trees. We can't see ahead of us, And I would submit that, and I agree with Ray when he mentioned about his mentor. I have always said that integration destroyed us because, as Malcolm has said, if anybody remembers, one of his speeches was Malcolm X. What fool would allow his enemy to educate his children? You know? So if we are continuing to allow others to educate our children, to feed our children's minds into thinking that it's okay to be a part of whatever this American culture is supposed to be, then we're fooling ourselves. And I feel for the Appalachians, I do. And I feel for any, any people who are being, enslaved or taken advantage of or whatever. But I can't do anything for anybody until I can do for my own people. That may sound selfish. That might sound selfish, but I have decided, and the older I get, that you mentioned, Ray, you moved out of the community. Many of us did. Biggest mistakes probably we ever made. But I don't owe anybody anything but my people first. And then if I have time to help others, I will. Doesn't mean I don't have a heart. Doesn't mean I don't feel for them. But the reality is that until the people that I'm from are seen as equal, whatever we want to call that, then I still have work to do. I may never move back into those communities, but that doesn't mean I don't have a debt to pay. Those communities allowed me to get out of those communities to be what I am today.
Let me say something real quick. I actually gave you guys the wrong impression. I didn't move. I actually stayed in the community. I was a community organizer. I only left Baltimore when I came here to Saudi. So actually, let me actually give myself credit. I actually did fight the good fight, and interesting enough, do you know who criticized me the most for fighting a good fight? My own people. I actually got set down. I was called to Northern Virginia and got set down by a group of Black people telling me to chill out, leave those niggas alone, and come and make money in Northern Virginia. And this is the God's earnest truth. All right. And my best friend was there. He didn't tell me that he didn't even tell me the meeting was going to take place. He just showed up because he's a part of their circle. That's the boule. We call that the boule. All right. So let me, when I say I left the neighborhood, I'm here now in Saudi. When I left Saudi Arabia, I lived at 1101 St. Paul Street, which is in the hood. All right. So let me not send the wrong message here. And you're absolutely right, Doc. You're absolutely right. And when I mention the Appalachians or anyone else's hardships, to be honest with you, and I don't care anything about the white Appalachians. I don't care about anybody else's hardship. I've always said that. The reason why I point that out is to say, how did these people suffer? And now, how did Asians suffer? And Asians suffered in America. How are they the number one earners in America? They make more money than white people by far, by $10,000 per year. How did that? I dated Asian women who told me they despised white people. That white people looked down at them. They talked down at them. They just belittled them. But you know what? Asians are now the number one earners in America. How did they do that? I want to figure that out because whatever they're doing,
maybe they did it without being consumers too. Because I don't know. But anyway, I gotta get ready to go. We gotta pick a book.
Yeah, we have to. I was thinking of sharing a couple of things here. I don't know how much I
Yes, you
can
go
do.
ahead, Ray. Mr. Austin, go ahead.
Look here. This is the White Castle, the what you call that, Cape
the
Castle.
Cape Castle. Oh
Yep.
yeah.
I've been there.
So yeah.
I want to go there. I had that as a screensaver, not that, but the door part with the water,
this is
like
what you
down
see.
there. Mm-hmm.
Here is the cannons and the cannonballs and all that. So
He's waiting for you too.
yeah. So this is how it used to look like. Can you see the boats and this is the sea, and these are the communities in the back, and see this one. And here you see, like in some other times, those cannons. You see, this is the whole plan of the whole thing. If you see here, so this is where the dungeons were under, and the community was some of the community was here, and then the rest of the thing was like how they were loading them onto the ships here. See, this is the thing here. I will show you
And it's
probably in
probably
the.
smaller than it actually is in that, as we see it on the
Can you
picture, and
see?
think that the
Yeah, see this one looks like a yard and things and like a, and then
No,
then this
it's
is the living.
huge. It's
I
Yeah,
was
it's
gonna
a
huge.
say, because imagine being on one side and never knowing that was, but when you're
yes,
young, yeah,
and
that's
also,
understandable.
but now I'm going to show you something like kind of little nasty stuff. And this is like how the trade and the life and the normal life, fishing and all these kind of things. This is in Ghana. So this is see the boats, the olden boat, but this is like a modern time now, just like probably. This is the gate of the entrance. This is the gate of the entrance to this Cape Castle. And they painted it white so that it looks like no crime is being happening inside. That's why they painted it white to look like this is like a white castle. Like especially like think like this one. These are some graves, probably these inside here. Anyway, I wanted to show you further. This is like those cannonballs that they were because it was made by someone else, Portuguese, and then others, then French, and then the last one, the British. So here you should see the male dungeons and you told Jasmine, you told you were there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a horror. I mean, like it has a very kind of imprinting memory, kind of
It's very
you would
somber.
not you will feel and some of the kind of smells and things how you will feel still some of the things there when you go inside. So this is the male uh, dungeon and going down there. Can you see this is the slave exit? It's like you say, you remember it was saying that going no way back. So this was where they were loaded into the ships. These are some of the kind of harsh slavery. This is probably the way they were putting the food from. This can you see here, small opening, and then they will just keep it closed. These are the special confined cells, something like that. Can you see these ones? Some of the people they have put those flowers and stuff for their memories of some.
Trees.
And this is now because as an art school now, and some of them probably if I could show, can you see these dungeons? How they look like subhumane conditions? This is light now, but think like a couple of 100 years ago. Probably it was 1655 when it was built, and then remodified probably in 1700s. This is one of the Archbishop of Canterbury is visiting that wall and feeling that how the slaves people would have been enslaved women and like I think this is the women chamber. This is the
And it
women
would be
chamber.
hundreds of them in there.
Yes, hundreds of
Hundreds.
them,
In such
hundreds.
a small space.
Yeah. And then like kind of think like no sanitary conditions and all these kind of things. And think like you see these kind of, this is like still like probably the modern, still like later part of the thing. Can you see these dungeons? And think like they are without the light bulbs. And these, can you see those, these kind of, what you call those sculptures, face sculptures of the
Those
people?
are people heads. Those are sculptures, or those.
Yeah, these are art school now. So the whatever somebody could find their like those figures they could figure out, and those are like they were saying this is resembling to her grandma or something. So they have created those sculptures. Yasmin can tell more about that one. Just I will try and see. Look at this dungeon now. See the two holes. These are the holes for the air. I mean, like when the ventilation for the ventilation. And the next one probably it will show you like how this is the top one, how like you will feel like claustrophobic or like or kind of like you would see like kind of gasping for air. Think like how many people would have been there. And this is what I was talking and Ray was talking about. Like if you see the part of the slaves went to where, think like millions here. These are million, I mean, like 2 million something to Great Britain, France, Portugal, Brazil, Netherlands, And can you see here, Denmark, Spain, and all these, and the USA is 125,000. This is what I took it from the, what you call it, Wikipedia, from there.
That
So
number can't be right. Ain't
could
no way
be,
that number right.
could be, but
125,000.
yeah, this is what is like I came
I know
to.
125,000 historic figures.
Yeah, from 1450
That's a
till
big
1800.
number.
1450 till 1800. This is what it's
Yeah.
told.
If that don't seem right,
This is
125,
how
how
one
much
of the
grand?
model ships cross section, how they were into. This is the top part. This is the middle part, and like this one, like how they were in the small chambers, they were like enslaved and enchained and like lying down. There were a couple of others that it was showing the whole ship, how they were, and the other trade stuff is going on, like ivory and all these from the African countries to the other places. Here is branding of the slaves, the female slaves, how they were branding them, like so they could not escape, because these were the permanent marks on their bodies. And this is the cotton field when the whole family is working in the cotton field collecting cotton. And next one could be disturbing. And if you remember that, what was that? Ness. So you remember the Ness's back and this one. And this figure actually is very famous in the history of that this guy. His name was Peter, but he's famous for as Gordon and all these kind of things. If you could read it, like how it happened. And so this was the picture captured. So this is I shared with you, and I wanted to share with you a bit more. Let me see if I could. I don't know how much time we have. We already are like past 9. Let me see.
9:30.
Yeah. This is the guy, this is the girl. I wanted to share few moments from here.
Oh, yeah, that's the author. Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
her.
that's the author.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to,
Because if you do the audio stuff on YouTube, you see her a lot talking
let
about the
me
book and
share
stuff.
the sound. I don't know where is the audio. Okay. Just a little, I will play.
What happened?
Wait, what happened?
It is.
So I think we're going to begin with Ya giving a little reading,
Is the
15
writer.
minutes or so.
Sure, so I'm just going to read from the opening of Homegoing.
This is what she reads, but I will go ahead.
Homegoing is a novel that follows the family lineage of 2 half-sisters. APEA, the first half-sister, is the wife of the British governor of the Cape Coast Castle, which is a slave fort that still stands in Cape Coast, Ghana. And then Essie is kept in the castle as a slave before being sent to America. So the novel follows down about 250 years of Ghanaian and American history, kind of toggling back and forth between the descendants. And I'm just going to read from APEA's chapter. The night APEA Otre was born into the musky heat.
Just forward it. This is more important than
Talking. I gotta
this. She read just a little bit. This is more important.
So we're going to begin first with this conversation, and then after we've talked a little while, we're going to turn to y'all for questions, and there will be a microphone that will be brought to you. But I want to. I'm glad you started there, because there's these observations I had first before I had questions, which were, it seems in the book, it's interesting that you start with APEA, the beauty, right? Mm-hmm. And so we start the book with beauty, but we start or with a character who's known for her beauty, but one of the first ways we encounter her is through incredible cruelty.
Yeah.
Right, so there's a way in which cruelty and beauty are constantly sort of walking together.
Right.
In the book, intimacy and exploitation are one and the same almost.
Yeah.
Right, in the book. And so I wanted to ask you, why begin with the beauty? Right, it seems like particularly in an aesthetic object like a book, right,
Right.
where we're concerned with.
Let's figure out the administration for the next book.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the beginning.
Okay. Yes.
I like her, the author.
I'll share with you their link. You can listen to it. This 7 to like around 12 minutes was like she's telling about why she wrote the book and how she went and what's her ties. And this is very important. So 7 to anyway, let's as Ray said, let's
Rock and roll.
talk about the book and the rating
Who's
of
up
the book.
next? Who's up next for picking a book?
Who did
Who's up?
Homecoming? Tamara, was Tamara supposed to be up this time?
She was supposed to be up.
Remember,
Yeah,
yes?
she's supposed to be up. Yes.
Yep, Tamara. So we got to skip Tamara. She's not on.
And also
Didn't it go
what you
back to
call
one
it,
of y'all? No,
I
Ray
know. I
did
think
chaos.
I think it's on you, Bridget.
You did chaos. Asin. No, it's not on you.
No, it's on.
Okay,
It's on
no,
you. It's on you. If it's not on Tamara, it's on you.
Ooh, I didn't even think I had a thing. I don't know. I should have y'all read my friend's book I just bought. It's a poetry book though. I don't know. No, let's not do that.
Dr. Mastan, do you have a book that you would like for us to read?
I think we read mine right before this one, right? We read
It was
Mad Honey.
supposed to be Tamara.
Oh, that Mad Honey was your book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's definitely your turn, Bridget. Miss Bridget, it's definitely your turn.
Oh gee whiz.
Take your
I don't
time,
know.
couple of days if you want.
You got a
Can
couple of
still-
days, yeah, a couple of days. Just let us know by next
I'll let
week.
you know this evening because I gotta take my other books back to the library unless when I come back from my weekend they'll be late. So I'm gonna take them back
So
this
let's say
afternoon.
even by Friday.
Okay.
Thursday,
Will
Friday.
we be okay with a poetry book or we gotta keep it with a novel? No,
I think we should keep it novel.
Yeah, I
Okay,
prefer
okay.
a novel as well.
Okay, so yeah, then give me to this evening and to think of one because I don't want to throw one on my bookshelf that I got already. I don't want to do that. I gotta return them books when I come from the library this afternoon. I'll put it back in the chat and the WhatsApp group to the name of the fresh book for this time. So when I tell you, Austin, did you go back and pull the book or however that's done?
Yeah, we
we'll
can
pull.
do that.
We'll pull it. We'll pull the book. Just make sure it has what we say 300 pages or 350 pages or less, something like that.
That's something like that.
Okay. Okay, cool. Will do. So no autobiographies. It could be true history or don't have. Huh?
Whatever you want us
Okay.
to read.
Okay, got you. So I'll put it back in the chat. Look at your stuff. You got all this stuff up there on your computer. Wow. All right, good people.
All right. We'll see everybody.
We didn't
we gotta
rate
rate the
this
book.
book.
We gotta rate the book. Yeah, we gotta rate it. I'll go first. I'll go first. Since this out of all the books that we have read, this book has challenged me the most to really think outside the book. Powerful book. I'm gonna go. We out of 5, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 5.
I give it a 5.
Okay, Ray 5. Khadija?
I give her a 5.
Okay. Dr. Mahasan?
5.
5. Okay. Yasmin?
4.
Ooh.
Oh, why? Pray tell.
Can you explain? Can you explain before?
Nope.
Was it missing something? Was it missing something?
She's a bit miser.
because it's just not my preferred genre.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It was a good read, but it's just like
What
For
is your
me,
preferred? What is your main genre? Your preferred genre?
horror.
Horror. Oh, that's right. You had us read that Intensity, didn't you? Was that you?
yeah,
Mm-mm. What does that mean?
Who had us read Intensity? It
yeah,
was
What
you.
Jasmine,
what was
Jasmine.
intensity?
You remember
But
that girl who was like
the
the
girl
first,
who was
everything happened in the first couple of pages, 25 pages, 20 pages, and then
the
there
girl
was
that
no
was locked
intensity.
up by the guy.
By Dean Koontz.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You had us read that.
the two friends in California somewhere in school, they were coming back home.
Mm-hmm.
The
And the
grape
guy
farmers.
was kidnapping.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yeah, the police guy, the one who was
Mm-hmm.
like into police.
That was your book, wasn't it?
All right,
Yeah.
guys, I'm bounce. We talk. I
All
gotta
right.
bounce. Talk to
Okay.
y'all. I'll put it in the chat later when I
Yeah.
come from the
I would
library.
give
All right.
4.6.
Okay, I should have gave a point. She got a 5 now.
All right.
Austin, what did you say you gave the book?
4.6. According to me, it could have been written a bit better, like a more story so that people can understand it,
Yeah,
like
she went
more
quick. Yeah.
related, because for I see it from the perspective that it would be hard for people to make a relationship of this whole story. Yeah, she has done a great research, but still like kind of like it looks to me like a beginner kind of a thing that still could improve. It could be improved. It could have been improved version of it where you put it like a family, kind of like a family kind of thing.
Well,
Uh,
I think she did do that
yeah,
because
She
she
like
did
did
do
as
that.
you
it.
were
She
reading it,
tried to do. She
she got
tried to do.
the
Yeah,
like depending on the time, like her voice changed for each generation.
yeah, she's
I
trying to
saw
do
that.
that. Yeah,
Hmm.
but for a reader, it would be still guessing who is what, who is who. There is
Well,
no
I mean,
grandma.
that's
There is
what
no.
you gotta. That's what made the book good. You had to figure things out. Um,
Yeah,
it's
but
definitely
like
was for an adult reader. This book is for an adult reader for sure.
yeah, adult, but like kind of you would feel lost. Like even you see our discussion, who is where. So like kind of thing, like like it could have been like from that side or this side. So it
Well,
could have
interesting.
been like yes.
No. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying from when I see it uh, from the perspective of like when you are doing for the family lineage research, she has done a good stuff from here and there, but still like it it still has the flavor or vibes of amateur kind of thing that it could be. She talks about the storytelling. This is she has what she has done is this is most powerful. This is where you get divided or the emotional intelligence is challenged because you face so many kind of realities that she doesn't have to tell any kind of a story. But where are you as a writer? So you find
No,
that kind of a
but I think what she's trying to do, she's trying to capture very important moments in these people's lives. So
she
she's
has
giving you
done
a snapshot. She's giving you a snapshot, and I think that's where she did a really good job. She gave me a snapshot of these people and moments in their lives that really altered their lives, and then she expertly woven in uh, that moment into other people's lives
yeah, but
down the chain. So
yeah, but
I thought she was excellent. I think she did an excellent job in that.
yeah,
I thought it was well written.
uh, in the last part, she's trying to pull out all the strings together, how they know about this stone story, how they know about what is like, how they knew about their grands, how they knew about those kind of things. So everything, I mean, could have been a little better woven into
Yeah.
like a proper story. This is my perspective.
Hmm. All right. So we'll wait for Miss Bridget to give us a book in a
Yeah.
couple of days, and I guess we'll um whatever book it
Yeah.
is, we're gonna read the first three chapters of it.
Okay, I should
somewhere
have,
around.
I should have the book this evening. Like I said, I'm going to the library in a few. I'm gonna put
So
something
what
fresh. I'm gonna pick something that I haven't heard just by on site that they just look good when I go in there and look at it. It's just gonna speak to me and jump off the shelf and be like, pick me to read for the book club.
Yes, yes, do it, do it, do it.
It's gonna be a surprise.
Yes,
Good.
Or maybe
It ain't
if you
gonna
could
be
make,
spooky though. Yeah, sorry, it's not gonna be a horror.
that's okay.
yeah, it could, you can even, if you want to pick up a horror one, if you want
No,
to.
I can't read it. I can't read the horror one. I can't do that.
So do we agree
Alright,
that
guys.
whatever book it is, we're gonna read the first 3 chapters of it?
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
somewhere
we have to
between
wait
50
to
to
see how
70.
many pages there are, and then we just
Uh,
divide it.
what,
Or maybe
well,
just 50 to 60 pages, 70 pages maximum.
We'll know this
Yeah.
evening. I mean, y'all go to sleep. Y'all go to sleep. Y'all know in the morning.
all right, we'll determine. We'll do it on the chat. All right, guys.
All right.
Good
Peace out.
night.
Later.
Thank-
Have a
Good
good
night.
day.
All right,
All
everybody.
right.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Love you, baby.
All right.
Bye-bye.